What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today on my show, my guest is Devin of Worm Shepard, man. And this is a really good episode, man, because we are talking about their brand new record that's going to be dropping December 25th, man. And we talk about them being together for the first time in a room together because obviously with what's going on in the world, they don't have that opportunity. And for my fans of wrestling or people who enjoy wrestling, me and Devin, we get into talking a little bit about, what we like about wrestling and what's going on today. As well as, we get some of his thoughts on things going on in the wrestling world. But before we get started today, man, I just want to say thank you to all you guys who keep showing me support, keep showing me love, keep sharing the show. I greatly appreciate you guys. And once again, if you'd like to be a guest on my show, hit me up on Facebook and Instagram, Blue Presents a Podcast, and on Twitter at PodcastABlue. But before we get started today, man, we are going to listen to Worm Shepard's new single, Accursed. It dropped this past Sunday, man. I'm really, really excited for this song, man. I think it's a great song, and hopefully you guys enjoy the music video as well, too. You should go check that out if you have not checked it out. But before we get started, man, listen to my man, AJ Pelletier, tell you why you should be listening to the Roads We Travel podcast.
Hey everyone, AJ Pelletier here, and I'm here to talk to you about my podcast, The Roads We've Traveled. It's a podcast where every week I talk to guests and friends from music, art, comedy, and more about their journeys through life, their struggles, their joys, and everything in between. You also get to know a little bit more about me and my journey as well. So if you like podcasts about good conversations about life, or maybe you're just looking to relate to somebody about some things you may be going through as well, then The Roads We've Traveled is the podcast for you. Subscribe to us today on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Check us out and subscribe to us on YouTube. And check us out at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled Podcast. All right, everyone. Thanks.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today on my show, I have the return of Devin from Worm Shepard. What is going on, man? How are you today, brother?
I'm doing really good today. I got a new conditioner for my hair, and it's easy to detangle. And it's so sick. And thank you for having me back on.
Oh, man, no, I'm so excited. This is awesome, bro. I keep telling everyone who will listen to me that Worm Shepard is about to pop. We were actually recording this the day before you guys drop your new single, Accursed. So I'm super excited, man. But before we get started with that, man, how are you doing with all of this going on, man? Because you guys have been doing videos. You had a little doc. You guys got a little doc coming out. And you guys are doing merch and stuff like that. How are you doing with all this stuff?
It's really fun and exciting, but it's also stressful because it's my first record I'm doing. First anything with a band. But it's fun. It's fun to see everything come to life, I guess. Last time we talked, we had a single that doesn't even exist anymore. and now the album's dropping on Christmas, and tomorrow we're dropping the first music video. Kind of nervous about it, but I have a lot of people in my corner helping me out with like easing the nerves and everything. Austin from Lorna Shore, I talked to him last night. He's really helpful.
That's awesome.
He's
man.
the one that shot the documentary, by the way.
Yeah, man, and it looks absolutely amazing. It was a good insight to get from everyone's perspective, and then it was also a good way to see like just how unique your vocals are without any music, man. I think that was my favorite part of the documentary, was just to hear it. And my wife was looking at me while I was watching it. She's like, "What the hell is that?" I was like, "That's Devin." She was just like, he sounds like a goddamn monster. And I mean, like I said, it was nice. I think that was my favorite part of the documentary, was just getting your vocals, no music, pure just your volume, and then you can hear everyone in the room just be like, "God damn!" Like after every take.
I had so much fun over there. The whole trip was amazing. I'll never forget it. It was so fun. The hotel, going out to places and stuff, recording.
Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome. You know, you guys are doing this during a time when it's kind of difficult for everybody to be together, you know, with the world at the state that it is, man. So let's talk about something that was your favorite part of the whole situation. Was it the recording? Was it the music video? Was it the doc? What was your favorite part of putting this all together so far?
My favorite part was the recording. Well, like everything about just being in New Jersey was really cool. Because I don't even get to get away from the house often, like at all. Last time I was away was last year in Florida. Mm-hmm. But even that was a rare thing. So going over there, being with Aaron, recording it, everything was so quick. The song, literally 2 of the songs were done in one take. And one of those songs that were done in one take, I also came up with the vocal patterns on the fly as I was listening to the song and recording.
That's amazing. So how is it working with Aaron in person? Because a lot of us have worked with Aaron, but never have worked with him legit in person. How was that experience?
So smooth. And I didn't expect it to be that smooth. He just flies across the screen, and everything is so fast. Mm-hmm. It just happens immediately. Like, nothing takes long at all.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a cool thing. You get that experience to work with someone in person as opposed to just, like, trading files here and there and whatnot. I'm sure the line of production and direction is a lot more simplistic when you're there with someone. So how was it? Not only with that, but like this was the first time the band was actually all in the same room. What was the energy? What did it feel like having everyone all together at the same time finally?
It was fun. It was like everyone got to kind of talk and laugh with each other and talk about ideas for the future stuff, mm-hmm. which I want to talk to you about later on this show if you want.
Hell yeah.
Because we're working really hard on the next one already.
Dang, already. Yeah. You guys haven't even dropped it, and we're on to the next one. That's crazy.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time talking about the next record and just bonding, I guess, and mm-hmm. getting comfortable with being around each other.
That's what's up, man, for real. And I'm sure some of you guys are in stitches with the way Ryan and Brandon can get sometimes, man. Those guys are some pretty funny dudes, so it can get pretty jocular, if you will, pretty hilarious.
It was bad. It was bad. And it was actually something Leo did that me and Brandon couldn't breathe about, because he wasn't trying to be funny, but he's just like works so hard and quick. It's like stupid. Like how he wasn't even trying to joke. He was like, I just came up with an idea for the third album if you guys want to hear it.
You guys haven't even released the first one, and we're talking about a third album.
So,
oh my god!
Yeah.
Idea. So speaking with ideas, man, let's talk about the thought process behind this record. As I understand through the documentary, it is varying forms of suicide, and I find that concept very interesting. Could you elaborate a little bit more on where that concept came from, and what about these suicides were interesting that Devin was like, this is the material I want to write?
It is all things that I created, but it's still trying to touch on different reasons why people would do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the main thing I struggle with every single day, is not knowing whether I want to stay here or not.
Wow.
And so I have one song on there that's mine, personally, my reason for suicide, and that's the title track, In the Wake of Soul.
Mm-hmm.
So the lyrics on that are the most personal to me. Everything else, I try to make it cool. Like, it's not really human. I try to make it on a grander scale and really just be in the moment of doing it. Really put people in that position, in the scenario,
Mm-hmm.
in the environment. Like, when you read a book, like, books are long, and people don't realize, like, so much of a book is just trying to get you to feel like you're there,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to actually telling a story. How many books do you read where, like, there's a whole, like, paragraph of telling you this tree is here, and the grass feels like this, and the wind is doing this?
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with the story, but it's just more immersing you, and that's really where I shine writing-wise. So it's just trying to put you there,
Mm-hmm.
and cover different reasons why other people would do it, so that everybody can come together and be like, I'm heard, or I'm not by myself.
Exactly, man. And it's not to glorify suicide. And if anybody who's listening to this feels like they need somebody to talk to, reach out to, one of these suicide lines, reach out to me, man, but I do think that you're right, because if you realize, people say when they go see a book that's turned into a movie, you always hear the same phrase, the book was better than the movie, because you had those descriptors, you had those things that kind of put you in that place and made you understand where you were, what the situation was, how you felt about the situation, or how you should feel about the situation. It almost drives the narrative that way. There's something else that does that as well too, and we're going to talk about that later too. That kind of, kind of gets descriptive and things like that. But I think that's a really, as much as people are going to probably look at that and say, wow, that's pretty controversial, at the same time, you're not glorifying it, saying this is what needs to be done. I think you're more of just, you're explaining to you, maybe giving people the perspective of what makes someone think this way, what makes someone feel this way, and how can you relate to that? Because I think we've all had those dark thoughts, man. I think we have all had those feelings like no one is hearing us, and we just want that moment of clarity. And that's something that music for me has always provided. I'm wondering, has that always provided that for you, and why you feel like you can still be on this earth because there's somebody saying something to you personally through music?
Absolutely. 1000%. I'm still here because of it. It's the only thing that makes me feel like I'm not the only one, Yeah, you can talk to people,
mm-hmm.
but when you're hearing it from someone you look up to or you think is really cool, it's far more impactful.
Yeah, man, it's perspective, man. It just makes you think that this person that you idolize has those same feelings and thoughts, and it just reminds you that we're still humans. No matter the level of success, you're still a human being, you're still a person, and we can connect that way. And like I said before, man, I just think, especially in these times when everybody's so separated from each other, there really isn't shows going on. I think this is a time where we need to hear something like that, man, that kind of gives us an idea of where we are and stuff like that. So let's talk about, because by the time this comes out, the song will have dropped. So let's talk about Accursed, man. Talk about the perspective you're giving in this song. From that, you're talking about suicide. So in Accursed, what are we looking for in this song, or what do you think we should be paying attention more to for this song?
Okay, well, lyrically, it's every song on this album is still personal to me, just because I'm getting another perspective on why somebody else would do something, It's still personal to me and what I would do in those scenarios. But there are 3 songs on the album that are about me, and that is Accursed, the title track, and The Frozen Lake, which is coming back and re-recorded. And so Accursed is part of that story. Accursed is like the realization that you want to plunge into the depths. In the Wake of Soul, the title track is just that storytelling thing, just putting you there as the thing happens. And then the Frozen Lake is the spiritual, like, after I've killed myself, now we're here in another realm, and it's just really cool and big and epic and evil.
Yeah, man. And I have been very fortunate to hear probably, I want to say, almost all of this record so far. And there are some things that stand out to me. Obviously that's the biggest thing, vocally.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I just think it's amazing that you've put so much passion into this project, and yet, you're saying, that songs like Accursed are like close to you, and personally about you. Do you still even going through this process now, how are you feeling mentally about what you're about to experience? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, man, once this record hits, there's going to be a new standard to heavy. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a new standard to heavy, and some people, are you ready for the imitators? Are you ready for the hate? Are you ready for what's going to come after this? Because there's a lot of things that are going to follow through. And I know a lot of people are listening to this probably you're giving these guys too much credit. Listen to this record. I'm just saying, if you haven't listened to this record, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
It's good. It's good.
Yes.
I have trouble liking things I do, but I'm pretty confident in this. This sounds different. Different. I'm going to say it right now. The hate is on the way. I believe there is going to be a slew of Lorna Shore ripoff comments, but as many Lorna Shore ripoff comments we get, shit. Thank you, I guess.
Would you want to be compared to anybody else? Especially when you talk about bands you look up to,
If I was going to be compared to somebody, it's Lorna Shore, so thank you for that. I thank you in advance for all your bullshit.
No, which is funny because I don't know, man. I guess I can see how some of what people will view as Lorna Shore ripoff, but I think vocally, you're going to be what separates this whole project. I think people are going to realize, okay, yes, he can do what XYZ singer can do, but what is this other thing that he's doing? What is this other sound that he's giving? Because there's even watching the documentary, you're hearing so many variations of what you can do, and for some people, screaming is in their mind. Screaming is not as talented, and then here you are, like Kobe Bryant, just throwing it up to yourself and dunking it. Bro.
Oh my god, bro!
he doesn't like how much I love this record, but it is what it is, man. Seriously, you're gonna, like I said, I keep saying you're gonna bring something to screaming that I think people are going to go, you know who I want to sound like? Devin. That's who I want to sound like. You know what I'm saying?
I hope, dude. I'm not even gonna like lie or try to sound like this perfect. Like one of the reasons I decided to be a vocalist is because I want attention. Okay, so just give me it, please.
Give it to me. You know what? And a lot of people won't admit that. But see, here's the thing, man. That is the most healthiest thing you can do for yourself. Take the initiative to admit to yourself that, hey, this is what I want to do. But also at the same time, you got to recognize, man, you've got a talent, man. Like in a serious one that just, when people finally hear this song tomorrow, or when you listen to this podcast, go listen to it now if you haven't heard it. I think people are just going to be blown away and just flabbergasted and walk away with that one thing that, like, okay, the sound may sound familiar to me, but the vocals are definitely something that's going to set it apart, man. And, hopefully people recognize that, record labels, and
Yeah.
see the fantastic, the category that you are in all by yourself, or the category that you're creating for yourself and other vocalists who are in that same vein, because there are some vocalists out there that are just absolutely crushing it when it comes to that. And now they're going to have to look at this 19-year-old kid and go, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but it's clearly not what he's doing.
No comment. I don't like my vocals that much.
Oh man, hey man, like you said, you do it for attention. Well, here's your compliments, man. I love you, brother. It's awesome.
Appreciate you so much.
So with all that craziness, man, and let's change the mood a little bit, man. And I know it's kind of early in the conversation, but a lot of people don't realize, besides being an awesome vocalist, Devin and myself are actually extremely, extremely huge wrestling fans. So for the 10 people who were listening to this before, now for the 2 people who actually like professional wrestling, here's your segment. So first of all, we're going to jump to a couple of wrestling subjects, because I have some questions and I have some hypotheticals for you. So my first thing is besides anybody in WWE, who's a wrestler right now that's really sticking out for you when it comes to the world of wrestling?
As my 2 Bray Wyatt figures are staring at me right now. Outside of WWE.
Yeah, outside of WWE.
That would be MJF. It's gotta be MJF.
Yeah.
That's God.
Prick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Schiavone. Yeah, Tony Schiavone, you little prick.
That's a God. Orange Cassidy kind of pisses me off. I'm like,
oh God. All right, Jim Cornette, give it to me.
All it is, like, he's fine. It's just I just don't like it personally. But I don't think it's bad at all. I actually think it's super creative. It's new. It's just like,
no, it's hard to admit sometimes, because there's certain things I like. Like, I feel you on that. I'll be honest with you, I don't like Brody Lee's character in AEW. Not a huge fan of it. In the beginning, I kind of was. But I'm not the hugest fan. But also at the same time, in the beginning, I thought Cody Rhodes was probably one of the best baby faces. And now it's kind of getting annoying. I want him to be a bad guy again.
I think for me, it hasn't gotten annoying yet, but I see it beginning to get annoying.
Yeah, it's starting to change that whole page. He went away for a little bit to do some acting, and then came back and instantly won a title. That's a whole other like subject that I don't even want to get into. I mean, granted, at least he's not booking himself at the top of the card. You know what I'm saying? He's got an interesting champion in Jon Moxley. And I don't know. I feel bad, because I feel like Jon Moxley is a great wrestler, but I also feel like there's not a lot of talent over that way until you turn a Kenny Omega heel, to be honest with you. Because that's what we really want to see. We want to see the bout machine. Like, I don't care what anybody has to say. We want to see the bout machine. We want to see that New Japan style that Kenny was bringing it to AEW, which was my first frustration when I did see AEW, was the fact that they weren't bringing that. I mean, I'm not saying they should bring Japanese style wrestling here, which, I mean, obviously they're doing it with the Joshi wrestlers and shit like that, which we're bouncing all over the place, but I love that shit. But I just think that we need that Kenny Omega from Japan, who was like disrespectful as all hell, and I want that. you know?
I don't like seeing him as a baby face. Not to say that he can't pull it off, but it's a situation with, I mean, Daniel Bryan being a heel back in the day. It's like he wasn't trash at it, but it just doesn't feel like him.
Yeah, man. And then you talk about that, and you talk about transitioning to someone who should have been a heel from a fucking long time ago, Roman Reigns. Good God. Talk about something we won't let go. Oh, he's rubbing his hands. He's ready to go. So give me your thoughts on Roman Reigns, how they turned him heel, and what do you think he's doing now? Or how do you feel about
Reigns
what he's doing? Yeah.
Is doing the best work of his entire career right now.
Yes, sir.
Every single week I am blown away. And it's like, how did we not pull the trigger on this 3 years ago? At least we should have done this after WrestleMania 33. Did you hear the heat the night after WrestleMania 33?
I think it should have started I think it should have started that night, to be honest with you. You have one of those matches where you could have a Austin Bret Hart where both characters kind of switch roles during the match, where Triple H, it starts out heelish, but ends up looking like a baby face because of how Roman Reigns go. But I'm sorry, I interrupted your whole thought. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that we could have had, I don't know, Reigns attack Taker after the match, even something. But I mean, it's better late than never, and this is something that I've been waiting for, and I've always been that guy for the past 6 years. I've always loved Reigns since 2012, and I've never stopped, and I never hated him because I knew what he was capable of. So these past 5 years of him getting blasted by every single person, I was still the only person defending him. Not that I appreciated what they were doing with him, because it was trash, but I would never blame him. Because I know what he was capable of. And everybody likes to forget that they were in his corner during the Shield. And everybody likes to forget that they wanted nothing. At the moment, at the end of the Royal Rumble 2014, they wanted him winning. And just a year later, it just wasn't time.
Yeah. No, I think what happened there was the Daniel, be honest with you, the Daniel Bryan popularity was so hot. It would have to be God himself to win that Royal Rumble if it wasn't for, Daniel Bryan. And then the way he got eliminated, that was a whole other subject. I think what happens is there was a determining factors, and not even his own cousin, The Rock, coming out could save that whole moment, which was very terrible. But here's my thing. Once I saw him with Paul Heyman, that just automatically was just like, huh? Like, yes, this is the guy who he battled with the whole time with Brock Lesnar and all that going forward. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think this is the best use of Paul Heyman. I don't think Paul Heyman really needs to be... He is a creative mind. I just don't think that a lot of times what happens with him in creativity doesn't always go well for everyone. But no, I think this is the greatest use of him. I think it gets Roman over, and I would also like to see a storyline where at some point Roman is such a bad guy he finally just has to shush Paul Heyman away. Like, no, I need you to get from me because you're causing me, whatever. You can make it a storyline where Paul Heyman's costing him opportunities or whatever the case is, but I still think this is a good storyline. Now, this is my hypothetical for you right here. Where would you like to see that Roman Reigns story go? Who would you like to see with him? There's a lot of talk about him possibly starting a faction with the Usos. I have my own idea on what I think they should do with that.
I don't want that because the whole heel Usos was sick, and I actually think Usos are better as heels personally. But I wouldn't want that to happen. I kind of just want them to move away. It's going to be illogical, but whatever. I feel like we are setting up a WrestleMania 37 main event with The Rock. I would not like that match to be done without a crowd. So if that was the plan and we can't have a crowd in a stadium by WrestleMania 37, hold off, please. You can't do that is the biggest match, but there's no match you could do with any two wrestlers at this point in time that would be bigger than that. And with Reigns talking so much about him being the one to feed the family when he's in the same family as The Rock, The Rock is on his way to let him know.
No, and I think that's a good idea. Now, between me and you, I've read some stories about what exactly there's a possibility right now that the venue they were supposed to use last year for WrestleMania could be the possibility of the venue they use this year. But it could be like a capacity show where you do have people come in, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Raymond James Stadium packs like, I want to say 70,000 people. So even even if you did 50% capacity, that's a pretty decent number of people in front of a crowd. And you're talking, it's a pretty popular stadium as well too. It's where the Tampa Bay Bucks play. Tom Brady is now. That's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a strong possibility that if they can't do Hollywood, that Florida, because Florida, to be honest with you, right now Florida is wide ass open. Like they're just doing whatever they want to do. They're trying to catch Corona today to get over it.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on there. It's crazy. But no. So yeah. So there's that possibility. Now my whole thought process into it is I think they should keep going with that. But what I think he should do is I think he should beat both Usos into submission. That's what I think. I think that, so what, Jay challenged for the title. So I think Jimmy should challenge for the title. And I think he should just honestly brutalize them. And it's almost like the dynamic would just be like, okay, the reason why we're on Reigns' side is because we know he'll beat the bricks off of us. And I think that's a way more interesting story. So that when somebody actually defeats Roman for the title, it's just like, there's this guy who beat the crap out of these two grown men and now is just lost to somebody who, XYZ, where they decide to go with someone like Otis or Braun or whatever they end up doing. Oh my God. That eye roll you just did about Otis. But no, I think that they should do something like that. The storyline where you're beating, he just brutalized them so much that they have no choice but to join Roman to not be brutalized, And to be honest with you, if you think about it, it's a slight play off of like what they did with Brock once Brock beat Taker at WrestleMania 30, which in my opinion should have never happened. I still think that
I agree.
I don't think it should have happened with him. I don't think it should have happened with Reigns. I think he should have rode off into the sunset the way that he did. And even with the fact that him and AJ did the Boneyards match, I still think that would have been the best way to go out for him, to be honest with you. At first I had reservations about it because you're like, there's no crowd. They're in a cemetery.
It worked. It really worked.
Yo, and that was the one thing that I was surprised. And the other match that I thought worked on that show too was the Fiend and John Cena match. I thought that worked as well too. Especially the way John just disappeared into existence after losing.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. But no, I think that's the way they should go with that. If not, I think that, because there's so many things going on right now when it comes to wrestling, and unfortunately WWE and AEW seem to be the main ones. Even though New Japan is doing things, I just don't think New Japan's doing things on the scale of what they were doing before when they had Kenny Omega and AJ and all those other guys. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they go. Do you have a favorite wrestler in New Japan?
I do not watch New Japan.
Yeah.
I only watch, I even stopped watching Impact. AEW and WWE are like my mains, and I've only really had time for both.
Yeah.
Lately.
Yeah.
New Japan was something, I think like 3 years ago is when I stopped, and it wasn't for any particular reason. It just kind of fell off. Yeah,
it's a lot to be honest with you. It's a lot of wrestling to watch during the week, to be honest with you. And sometimes I find myself either not watching SmackDown or not watching Raw because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like there's a lot of like insert player here or insert, like how many times are we gonna watch Keith Lee fight someone to a non-finish? Like
main roster WWE. is the worst show on television.
I'm not gonna lie. This past NXT Takeover, I don't think I was that impressed, except for the Finn Balor Kyle O'Reilly match. I thought that shit was, as little as those guys are, and that's a lot of people are gonna say that shit. Those guys are super little. They beat the fuck out of each other. They beat the holy hell out of each other. I was surprised how physical that match was. Yeah, I thought it was a great match, but I was not impressed with the rest of the show.
It's more bearable than main roster.
Yeah, it is.
But now that we're on television, the main roster formula is starting to seep into NXT, and it absolutely repulses me.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it's always going to be, because they're not letting those people shine. You stick to the quote unquote usual suspects, if you will. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they switched last night, Rollins, Dominic, and Rey Mysterio over to SmackDown. Like, I think they should have separated those guys. Yeah, I think they should have separated.
It should have been separated about 6 months ago. This story's been going on since December.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know how I feel about the Aaliyah aspect of the storyline. Aaliyah and Murphy.
It's so gross. The whole story is so annoying and overdone. Enough. You know how happy I was? This is Seth Rollins' first time on SmackDown.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then we're bringing the story to SmackDown, and you want to tell me the draft is going to change the landscape of the WWE?
I mean, that's exactly what they do every time. It's a lot of hype to almost no fanfare, and that's why sometimes I find myself, I do enjoy some pay-per-views. Obviously, I think I enjoyed this last pay-per-view just the way it ended with Roman Reigns just absolutely brutalizing Jay, and I thought I thought that was a perfect way to end it. It was almost like, and Jay was so resilient, but I also thought it was like I said, just a great way to end the show, whatever the case is. And before we get off this subject, because we've been on it for quite a while, and I'm sure the two people who are still listening to this podcast right now are like, "Hey, man, wrap it up." Real quick, so who's a wrestler right now on any roster that you think should be in a main event picture?
Aleister Black. Aleister Black.
Mm-hmm.
Aleister Black. Aleister Black. Aleister Black. Aleister Black. Aleister Black. Aleister Black.
Is that like? And don't get me wrong, I thought they did a great job with him in NXT, but he's been almost next to non-existent. And then the storyline with him and Kevin Owens. Okay, make him a heel. And I think in some aspects, except for like, I don't think he needs to have the magic of the Undertaker, but I think you could slide him in that unique position like the Undertaker, this unstoppable guy who's just his stuff looks super believable. That finishing move is like believable, bro. Like just the snap of that. I would love I would love to see him in SmackDown, and I would love to see him be the guy who would take out Reigns, but obviously he would have to be a babyface for that. But I think it would be dope for him and McIntyre to go back and forth at it, because I think right now McIntyre's doing the best wrestling of his career. Even when he was, and I thought when he was in TNA back in 2012, 2013, I thought he was doing pretty good there. But right now I think this is some of the best work. I think they just need, Randy Orton needs to go fuck off somewhere. Like, go put some Randy Orton somewhere else, please.
Randy Orton is, it's going to be tough to see him. He's great at what he does. He's a god at what he does. But right now, I don't feel like there's room for him right now.
Yeah, stale bread.
Yeah.
I would love, you know what would be awesome? I would love if he went like anywhere else. Like, I don't know, if they moved him to SmackDown, or hell, if they moved him to NXT, that would be so interesting. I think that would be like, I know that's crazy to say that, but I think it would be so interesting because of how the way that they're changing stuff. Because I'm sorry, Finn Balor is main event talent, and I'm sorry, he should have been treated with way more respect than what he got treated with. Granted, I understand, he gets his first title shot, he gets hurt, whatever the case is. But other than that, everybody was behind him. Everybody, and even now when he's doing more of his Prince gimmick, which I think they need to let him loose. They need to loosen up on him and let him just be full on heel New Japan Finn Balor, which was probably some of the most interesting stuff. And unfortunately, I never got to see it live, but I was able to go back and watch the work that he did in the beginning of Bullet Club, and I don't see any reason why you couldn't do something like that in WWE. And for WWE fans, it would be so fresh and new because not a lot of people watch New Japan. You know, you could literally copy that same mold. All right. Anyway, so last thing before we get off this subject, how bad does Retribution suck?
Let's go to the next subject.
Yeah, let's go to the next subject. And that was bad. Anyway, so let's get back. let's get back into the music thing, man. So with this record coming out, man, what is the one thing you want people to take away from this record besides the fact that it's about things personal to you, it's about suicides? What are some things you want people to walk away from this record thinking, feeling, knowing, understanding about you, the band, the music?
I feel like there's some magical like potion in the music that makes it sound like we're coming back soon. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm in it and we are working on stuff, but it's just something about it sounds like this is only a taste, and like, just wait and we'll be back pretty soon.
No, that's awesome.
And it's also, it's different in the sense that you're if you're expecting Frozen Lake stuff on the album, it's not that. It's there, it's in there. But I want people to kind of be surprised at some of the things. There's a lot of variation in the songs. Every song has its own identity, and that's my favorite part about it.
You don't feel like there's no like track that's like, this is a weaker track. Some people don't view it like that, and that's a good perception to have, man, especially when you feel confident about your records, when sometimes us as artists, we kind of scrutinize what we do and just like, I don't really like this, I didn't really like how this came out. It sounds like you feel pretty confident about this record, and that in itself is pretty awesome. I know Brandon, he just anytime you guys have done something and I hear it or I get a little clip of it, man, it's always exciting and it always sounds passionate as hell, which, you know, for some people listening to this style of music, and they're like, how can you tell the passion? You can feel the passion when you listen to these tracks, man. You know, how do you feel like with this whole recording process, relationships between you, Brandon, Aaron, Leo, and Ryan have kind of strengthened through all of this? Because it seems like, to be honest with you, with all those people in different places, somehow you guys still feel pretty tight.
We are definitely tight, and we do Zoom calls and stuff too. Doing this album, though, it's brought us together. It's gotten us to know more things about each other. I guess how to talk to each other, humors, and like all we do is just like laugh endlessly. I guess we just got more comfortable with each other. Like, anytime you're around somebody, you're getting to know them no matter where you are. You're making new friends, basically. It's just very different being on the internet and being in person.
Yes, it is. And in being in the same room and feeling that energy. But it seems like you guys were able to kind of get around that and still be able to put something together so that when you guys did finally come together, it was just like, you know, you guys know each other. There was a chemistry already built pre being in the same room as each other, which is awesome. So let's talk about the music video Accursed. Shout out to Ian, you know, doing awesome work. Even just the clips I've seen so far looks super
Absolutely.
great. How did you feel?
Yeah.
How did you feel about the video shoot? And, you know, what were some of the, because I know there was a little bit of a challenge, as I understand, when you guys went to get a rental from a particular company we won't talk about. They gave you shit about it. So how was handling that and then finally getting to the shoot and finally shooting the video?
That was a mess. And there's something that you don't know that I'm going to tell you about the situation. Well, you already know the beginning.
Yep.
So,
whoop.
Sorry.
Nope,
all
you're
right.
fine.
So, all all right, we get to the venue about an hour and a half late, so we have to buy an extra hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
We do the video, and the process was smooth because Ian's so good at what he does. He knows where to put us, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all, it's kind of like this, but at the same time, you need to go through the song multiple times. So it can only be so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Then, once the video's done, we're all like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We did it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were so hyped. And so now we're packing everything up. Everyone's leaving. And my friend Ryan, who drove me there, and we go to Call Guitar Center because we were going to... Oh, yeah, we mentioned them. Okay.
Yeah.
We called them, and we were like, all right, we're ready to like bring the stuff back. Can we bring it back? I know you close at 7. It's like 6:45 right now, but can you stay like for a little bit and and take this back? He's like, no, sorry, all my guys are leaving. Blah blah blah. You can bring it back tomorrow, and it won't be an extra fee. So it's like, it is only 6:45 right now because of you.
Yes.
It should be like 5:30 right now, but because of you, it is 6:45. Not me. So now, because of you, we had to bring all the stuff to my house to unload it into my basement. Then the next day, had to bring it into my dad's car, and we had to go back to Boston, bring it back, and come home.
Oh wow!
So it's like, never again.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that's crazy, man. And it's it does sound like you guys had a good time. I mean, Ian does great work, so I knew that part was at least going to be simplistic. But when Brandon told me what happened at the center of guitars,
Yeah,
I'll give it the Matt Hardy treatment. Yeah, that's kind of frustrating. That kind of sucks. And I don't know, man. Step your game up, guys, because it sounds like you guys kind of fell off there, And as I understand, Brandon did his best Karen impersonation and wrote a review.
Of course, this man did.
But yeah, no, it is what it is, man. With all that being said, man, do you guys have you guys thought about what the next single is? Will there be a video for it? I know you said release date is looking like December 25th, which
yes,
talk about the best Christmas present I could ever get.
Yeah, man.
Are there gonna be pre-orders available? That's a question right there. I'd like to know.
Yeah, pre-orders go live tomorrow, so long as they go live tomorrow.
Dang. So not only, by tomorrow, today's, once again, like I said, we're recording this the day before you guys release Accursed. So I'm assuming you're meaning Sunday when Accursed drops, we're also getting.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So if you're listening to this podcast, which would be a Friday, if you haven't gotten your pre-order, go get your damn pre-order, or else I'll punch you in the nose.
Yeah, dude.
Go get your pre-order. And once again, Devin, man, this is a pleasure, man. I appreciate you coming on, brother. I appreciate you sharing some of these tidbits. Once again, get ready for Worm Shepard, man. Accursed. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it now. And December 25th, we're getting that full album. I'm so excited for it, man. Is there anything you want to let people know before we get out of here, man? Anything you're excited about? Anything you want to share with anybody?
Yeah, so we'll do one more single after Accursed. Trying to release it sometime in mid to late November. It's going to be a song called Wretchedness Upon the Gates. We already sold shirts for that song. That is featuring my boy Dave from Signs of the Swarm. And that's going to be a video as well. But it's just going to be me. It's going to be similar to the Infinite Annihilator cover. So it's just a black background. And he also filmed his part, so he'll be in the video as well. It was a pleasure working with Alex Kohler for Accursed, featuring on Accursed. He sounds better than ever. And I just can't wait for everybody to hear it. And by the time they hear this, they've already heard it.
Yeah, man. And that's going to be awesome, man. But anyways, Devin, man, thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate you, man. we're gonna have to get you and the guys back on. Hopefully, maybe sometime around that album release. All right.
All right.
All right, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you.